I'm Tyler Garcia. This is Much Ado About Cooking, and today I'm here with Ben Salazar, gamer, paralegal, and never mind.
You have to say it now.
I was trying to think of something else to put in, and I was gonna put Gooner, and I was
A
like,
gooner.
that's so
You're still
stupid.
recording though.
Yeah, I know.
A bit
Yeah,
of
I
a
cut
gooner.
this. I cut this.
I'm a gooner. I'll say that.
I'm not gonna say that though. Give
Oh,
me another
good.
word for you.
What is it? Racist?
Hi, I'm Tyler Garcia. This is Much Ado About Cooking. Today I'm here with Ben Salazar, gamer, film buff, and paralegal. Ben, what do you do for a living?
I work at a bankruptcy firm that also handles some other cases on the side, but it's fun, it's fulfilling. Before I go to law school, or if I go to law school, it's fun to get my toes in the water and just splash them around a bit and see what's happening. And so far, it's pretty interesting, and I'm just kind of taking things day by day.
Cool. And so, you have an office job now. Do you prep your own meals and stuff?
Honestly, I'll say I probably should, but right now I'm kind of mooching off one of my former jobs, which is in the area. It's a
Okay.
Brazilian steakhouse.
Hmm.
So I'm eating just a lot of asparagus and fresh greens, as well
Oh,
as like
nice.
fresh cheeses and just plain black beans and white rice. Very like Brazilian, Latino.
Yeah.
So I enjoy it.
So you said you should probably do it. If you are, what do you think you'd like make for yourself?
Honestly, I'd probably go with something simple like a ciabatta chicken pesto sandwich
Oh,
and
yum.
maybe like a bit of pesto or not, no, obviously a bit of, but maybe a bit of kimchi.
Oh,
But it
yeah.
just depends. I don't want to clash or overwhelm my flavor profile too much. I just know as long as it tastes good and it doesn't smell too much in the office, I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
But, nothing too crazy.
So you said something that sounds really good. Something that I think not a lot of people who would prep their meals would make a ciabatta chicken sandwich with pesto. How long have you been cooking for yourself?
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's cooking. I feel like I've always just kind of like I feel like people say, "Oh, do you know how to cook?" And I say, "Well, I think everyone understands the concepts of cooking,
Mhm.
but it's like theory will only take you so far,
Yeah.
and you need to apply those concepts because you can see someone like working a grill and you're like, "Oh, that's not too bad," but you just pretty much have to do it and get comfortable. Like I think for breakfast today, I made some hash browns, sausage with some scrambled eggs with a little bit of cheese and salsa.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like I'm feeling it today, so that's what I ate.
So, I mean, a few people, I mean, a lot of people don't really know how to cook. I think that's like would be a complex meal. For some people, are you the only person in your house that like cooks or
Honestly, I will say a big reason why I don't cook more is because I have a mom who cooks a lot,
okay.
and I wouldn't weigh as much if my mom was not a good cook. Because there were times where I didn't live with my mom and I lost weight. So it's just one of those things where it's like I have access to good food, so why would I waste time cooking when someone else cooks? But
Yeah.
I do understand the fulfillment that comes from cooking itself.
So your mom has been she's she always been a good cook, or is that something that she's picked up?
I feel like she's always been a good cook.
Mhm.
I've always eaten what she made. Like obviously, like my friends like what she cooks.
Mhm.
So she can't really mess it up. And if she does, I'll tell her. But not in like a rude
Oh,
way, but
yeah.
like I just won't eat it. Like I'll just be like, I'm not too sure about this one, but I appreciate the thought.
And if you didn't have that like relationship with cooking, or maybe your mom wasn't a good cook, do you think that you would have a different relationship with cooking altogether? Maybe you would cook more, or
Honestly, like if my mom wasn't in the picture, it would be kind of well, one, it'd be sad because I wouldn't have a mom, but uh like my grandfather's a chef, so it's like,
oh,
it
okay.
just that would bounce off from her to someone else, and it'd be like, maybe I'm a big baby, but it's like, hey,
Mhm.
it's the path of least resistance to get food in my mouth, and that's one less thing I have to worry about throughout the day.
Okay, I didn't mean if your mom wasn't
But
there,
you
but
know what
yeah,
I
oh yeah,
mean,
no, I
though.
get you, I get you. um, So, do you think, okay, so your mom cooks a lot of Mexican food, you guys are Mexican.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself cooking a lot of dishes that are not necessarily
I would
Hispanic influenced or
I would say so. I don't know, it's just whatever I'm in the mood for.
mm,
Like nothing's really coming to mind right now. Like yeah, honestly, I'm a bit brain dead right now. I just got
uh-huh.
off work,
Oh, okay.
but mm, yeah, no, nothing's really coming to mind that I would cook. But I don't know, like I feel like everyone just gets in moods. Like there's a phase where I was only making jalapeno poppers and
Okay.
breakfast at night. Maybe it was like seasonal depression, but it was just like this is gonna be my meal for the day. It's just a tray of jalapeno poppers or just chilaquiles. But
Hey man, if it was seasonal depression, you got it down because I'd be making like a plate of beans and eating some tostadas, and that'd be my meal like three times a day. I feel like the jalapeno poppers are way better.
sometimes you just have to get it done.
What is something that you really like that your mom cooks?
Ooh, what do I like that my mom cooks?
Mhm.
Honestly, she makes like a really good brisket and just like her regular beans and rice. That's like a go-to,
Oh,
and I
yum.
just normally enjoy it. But my stepdad makes this really good carbonara with like bacon bits and
Ooh.
tilapia. And I'm not a fish guy, but it's just tasty and there's like a white creamy broth to it. And
Mhm.
I love eating that. Like it's crazy. Like he doesn't make it anymore,
Mhm.
but like he'll make it every now and then for special occasions, and I make sure to eat as much as I can.
And you mean those both sound like they take some sort of skill. Do you think that your stepdad and your mom have they helped you, help learn how to cook in any way, or you just kind of did it yourself?
Honestly, I you just kind of pick it up. I don't think I've ever been like, hey, help me do this, because they're busy. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
ask them
yeah.
for help. It's like Google it. They'll be like, "You're smart enough. You got a degree, right? You're not dumb. Like, are you special?" I'll be
Oh,
like, "Ah, well, like
well.
maybe I could be."
What is your favorite dish that you've cooked for yourself or for others?
Oh, I'm thinking dishes, but I was just thinking cocktails. To
Okay,
be
that we could do
honest,
that too.
I made like a Midori margarita not too long ago
Yum.
with Midori, some fresh lime juice, obviously Grand Marnier,
Mhm.
and then just like I think it was a reposado. I'm not too sure which reposado though, but
Yum.
it was.
Do you like making cocktails for like friends and stuff, or is it just like a you
I
thing?
I'd say I do it for me, but if friends are over, I'll make it for them. And I feel like drinking's a bit expensive if you go out, and I feel like there's more joy if you make it for yourself and you get to enjoy it and the ratios for yourself. Because I like to taste the alcohol. Maybe I'm insane, but it just tastes good.
That's fair. Yeah, I love going to gay bars and getting drunk there. What is your least favorite food or drink that you've made for yourself?
Ooh. If you ever try to make an old fashioned, you put too much bitters, it'll just make you throw up. Also, anything with gin.
Ew. Really, you
Not
don't
a
like
not a
gin?
not a gin guy,
Hmm. I love
but
gin. So, any food that you've made, or maybe that your mom has made
uh,
that you don't like? We won't tell her.
let's see. Oh, I've told her probably, but
Oh.
hmm, a tough one. Um, I was gonna say mullet, but even mullet is not even that bad. Like I think that's
Oh,
just
okay.
like I'll eat it. There's like actually anything fish. I don't like fish.
Oh, okay.
So sometimes it'll be like, oh, it's fish night. And I'm like, ooh, I'm not touching that.
You do like that one with was it the tilapia that your
Yeah,
stepdad
that's
makes?
not her making it. I'll say that.
Oh,
Oh, chill.
oh. Um, do you have any fun cooking memories or? It could be something that was bad
I
or
know in high school I took culinary arts,
okay.
and I think I have like a scar on my bicep from taking pretzels out of the oven
Ah,
and burning myself, but it was pretty chill. Uh,
okay.
and then like the next semester I would just go in and eat food,
Oh,
even though I
that's
didn't have the
nice.
class. So it was just like, oh, I'm gonna peace out and go get some food. And I come back with like noodles or something. And that was always a fun class.
Oh, yum. And so when you live for yourself or by yourself, I obviously I know you said you wouldn't cook as much, but did you have any like go-tos?
Ooh, I think I might just make like a big thing of white rice
Uh-huh.
and black beans with like a little bit of meat and then have like a sad little lunch with some greens and maybe put some lime on the meats. And then if I'm getting crazy, maybe stir fry some onions and jalapenos with a little bit of chili flakes for
Mhm.
some flavor. But, you know, just get the essentials down.
Yeah. And so when you moved back to, to live with your mom and dad, earlier, how did you were you excited that you didn't get to eat the bland same old stuff or
You know, not really. Sometimes I like eating what I like, and sometimes
uh-huh.
I'll still make it, but it's just like, am I in the mood for this? No, because sometimes it's just like, oh, I've already done everything I need to do for the day, so there's no point in eating.
Mhm.
Because like if it's not that, then I'll just make smoothies, and the smoothie provides everything that I need. So,
Right. Well. So I mentioned earlier that you were a film buff. You have any favorite movies that feature food or TV that you really like as like their main center point food?
let me think. This is a good one. I think you should go first on this one.
Probably Chef. Obviously, I think that's like what a lot of people say. But I really love Cuban sandwiches, and I'd never had a Cuban sandwich before, or even know that there was the Cuban sandwich before watching Chef. So
A cubano,
I
some could say.
yes, a cubano, yes, un
Yeah.
cubano, and the first one I ever had was at a cheesecake factory, which is not, I'm pretty
Hey,
sure there's a million better options out there, but yeah, it's probably Chef because of the cubano.
let's start. Um,
It doesn't have to be movie or TV, if you like a YouTuber or
I really like the scene in Inglourious Bastards where he puts the cigarette in the pastry.
oh, and the strudel, yeah.
Yeah, because it's just like if you've had like a really tasty strudel, you're like, oh God, why would you do that? Like,
Oh yeah.
especially with a nice cup of coffee too. Like the pastry and the black coffee is just unmatched.
Uh,
The French really cooked there, but I don't know. Like,
oh yeah, that looked like a good pastry. That's a pretty good scene. Let's see. What is your favorite dish that you've cooked this month, or one that you can remember?
ooh, this month, let's see. Honestly, probably the hash browns with the sausage
Okay.
and the eggs. You can't complain. I was just in the mood. Sometimes you want hash browns, put some salsa on them. Waking up a little bit early, so it's still a bit chilly.
Oh, nice.
You kind of feel like a cowboy on the stove working it, even though you're like not in the wilderness, you're just in home.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I just made yesterday I made soyrizo with beans, and I cut up some hash browns, and it was just like a bowl of slop, but it was such a good,
But
bowl
sometimes
of slop.
slop is good.
Slop is so good. And today we had egg and bacon tacos. With like the, like $8, thing of bacon. So,
Mm.
or I mean, maybe it was more, but it was like small pieces. So it was like rich people bacon.
Oh, okay.
But it was so good. Some good tacos. I did want egg and weenie tacos. I've been thinking about them all this
Weenies
week.
con huevo is goated. That's a good
Yeah.
meal.
Oh, it's so good. Um, we're on the topic of Mexican food. What's your favorite Mexican dish?
Ooh, let's see. I think the sopa is pretty nice if you get like a
Mm,
good, like it's not too hard, but you can tell it's flour and it doesn't like crumple, but it's firm, but it's still a bit flexible, but not flexible enough that you have to hold it with like two hands. It's
right.
still kind of one-handed, but it still comes off when you bite it.
Oh yeah, those are pretty good. What toppings do you like on there?
Let's go with some nice tomatoes, diced, obviously.
Yeah.
A little bit of lettuce, obviously beans, queso fresco, some sort of meat, dealer's choice. I don't really care as long as it's not fish. Um, but maybe some like bomb carne asada or al
Mm,
pastor would go kind of crazy on it.
that sounds tasty. You work at a or part time, or you said on the weekends you work at a
Yeah,
fine dining chain. Have you noticed that there's a lack of fine dining Mexican restaurants, and I mean like super fine dining, like fancy steakhouse type of Mexican restaurants,
I'll say this. I think like the only places I know in town for like fine dining Mexican, I don't think it's worth it.
right?
And that's not because like Mexicans are cheap. Because obviously, if you go to La Cantera, you could see a lot of Mexican people that aren't cheap. But
Uh-huh.
if you could get the same thing for a quarter of the price, if not half the price, and obviously you're going out to eat, and if you could get something that's the same quality in a more relaxed environment, you're
Mhm.
gonna go there. And I'd say it's like, oh, well, don't you want to go? And it's like, no, I don't want you to draw like a comma on my plate or a semicolon or a music note. I understand the artistry and the craft of doing that, but it's like, no, at that point you're just doing it for show and oh,
Yeah,
it's usually to accompany like a hotel or anything, but I just think it takes away from the main dish and it's trying to compensate for maybe other flavor profiles that doesn't really need to be there.
it's fair. And you yourself, what type of fine dining do you work in?
I work in like the Brazilian steakhouse scene, so churrasco. So
Okay.
everything's fresh, everything's clean. Like all the steaks are wet aged 40
Oh
days.
wow.
Like it's so it's like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I know food, but it's like I've also worked in other places where it's like, oh, okay, like wines and just valet service and just being to be places where it's like, oh, I know I'm not gonna be able to afford this.
Okay. Do you think that working in like fine dining or just like in the food industry changes your perception on cooking? Maybe that's why, sometimes you tend to not cook and maybe pick up meals instead? Or do you think that's just you? You just
Uh I think
not.
it's just more convenient. Like I'm not opposed. Like I'll be like, ooh, like it's not like I'm anti-cooking, but it's like if
Yeah.
anything, I'm more anti going out for certain things. It's like like that's not it worth. But you know, I'd say that you recognize that people who are through the wait staff, it's like, oh, you're not a real person. But
Hmm.
if anything, it makes you like more appreciative when you go out places because you're like, how
Right.
do they get this all all right? Because
Yeah.
I don't know. If you work with somewhere with like a diverse menu, it's like, ooh, there's always that one item that people are like, oh, really? Like, seriously, guys? But, it's just prep time. That's all it is. Prep
Yeah.
time and knowledge. So once you learn that, you could pretty much do anything.
What do you say to the people that are opposed, I guess, to cooking, or maybe they're just, not down with cooking like that, and they'd rather, for the majority of their meals, they go pick up food.
Hey, if you got the money to do it, do it. I'm
Yeah.
nothing against it. I
Yeah.
wish I didn't have to cook, but
Yeah.
if you had enough disposable income to just say, let me get X amount of item delivered to me. You know? It's
That'd be
kind of like
pretty
the people
cool.
who are like delivery versus picking up. You always want delivery, but no, you have to go pick it up.
Oh yes. Okay. It can be as complex as you want it to be, or it could just be a simple, we're giving people ideas type of segment. So, Ben, uh, what is one recipe that you would like to share with for all to hear, and something that you really like cooking for yourself?
Okay, okay. Let's just go with this. Let's do a Isopure whey vanilla protein,
Okay.
GMO free. It's clean for the
Okay.
bulk. No carbohydrates, so it's keto friendly. You do a mixture of kale, strawberries, raspberries. Throw that in there, maybe like a handful, depending on how big your hand is.
Okay.
1 scoop of peanut butter, A little douse of honey, some ice, blend it. Milk of choice, or like soy milk, almond milk, depending on your allergies. But blend
Hmm,
it. Easy meal, easiest meal,
yum.
and
What
tasty.
what color does that turn out to be? Like a
It's gonna be like a purple.
oh, that's pretty and tasty. That sounds really good. So we talked about favorite food in film and stuff. Are you into any cooking games? Could you play
Cooking.
any Cooking Mama?
Oh no, honestly, no. I think the last cooking game was maybe Breath of the Wild because you just throw things in a pot, but I wouldn't classify that as a cooking game.
Oh, okay. No Papa
And
Pizzeria?
and no, I think I had a girl refer to my job as a Papa Pizzeria job, and I immediately like removed
Oh.
them. I was like, don't talk to me.
Oh, that is so mean. Um, okay. Thank you so much for joining me. Before we call it a day, why do you believe it's important to cook? And what is one piece of advice you would like to give someone who wants to get into cooking for themselves?
Ooh, let's see. Why people should still cook?
Yeah.
Obviously, like, on a cold day, it's freezing. The roads are shut down. We don't have infrastructure. You're gonna want to know how to cook. Maybe you're broke. You can't afford to go eat. You have to cook.
Yeah.
No,
And
what was the other question?
what is one piece of advice you would have for someone who's getting into cooking?
I don't want to sound lame and cliche, but literally just do it. It's not that hard.
Yeah, you just go for it.
Like you'll see it. You'll see it change color. Whatever it is, I don't know what you'll be cooking, but you'll see it
Yeah.
change color or have a different texture. So
You could just cook some eggs and weenies and everything will be fine.
exactly.